Hello and thanks for joining me for some more landscape photography. Now I've been in something of a quandary over the last couple of years. When I started out with Micro Four Thirds, I was using the 12-100 f4 Pro pretty much as my only lens. The problem with that was that when I was out in the hills, I found that very often 100mm really just wasn't enough. And I tried lots of different options for lightweight lenses that I could take up into the hills with me, and pretty much all of them I found to be just too soft. I didn't like the results, and I got some decent pictures, but pictures that I knew I could improve on. So I went out and I bought this rather fabulous 40-150 f2.8 Pro, which you may have seen me use quite a few times. But the problem was it's such a big heavy lump that I stopped carrying it in the mountains for the most part. And that was the whole point of getting a longer lens. So the quandary that I was in, well, what are my options? And the whole thing was exacerbated by recently moving over to just shooting with prime lenses at wider focal lengths. So I've got a range of prime lenses that I carry around with me. They're light as a feather, and I absolutely love the quality of the images that I get from them. Over the years, I haven't really made much use of the fact that it widens out to f2.8. One or two images, but for the most part, I'm using it at 5.6 and upwards. When last year OM System came out with the 40-150 f4 Pro, I thought, do I bite the bullet? Do I replace this with it? Well, that's exactly what I've gone and done. I've now got this lovely lightweight compact lens coming in at about 380 grams or so, I think, which is about half what this weighs. It's also tiny. Now, I'm not going to go into a detailed review. Really, I just wanted to explain my thinking with it. I'll share a link to my friend Jimmy Cheng from Red 35, who's done a much better quality review than I've got any interest in doing. I've only had this a couple of days, and I'm already absolutely blown away by the quality of the optics. So, notwithstanding the fact that it is a fraction of the weight, it beautifully complements my wider prime lenses, and it's creating some fabulous images already. Now, so far I've only been out with it for an hour with the dog just to give it a workout. So these images are the sort of thing that I've been able to get with it already. Now, ordinarily, I probably wouldn't have taken many of these images. It was just simply that I was testing the lens out. I'll put a couple more up for you at the end. Now, I've seen a lot of reviews of this lens, and people have three key things that they moan about, and I just don't get it. The first is that you have to extend it to start using it. People moan about that. I didn't take very long. And also, if you're walking around with it, you just leave it extended, so when you switch the camera on, you're ready to go. So I don't really get that complaint. The second complaint that I've heard is that unlike other Zuiko Pro lenses, it doesn't have the pullback clutch to switch the focus mode into manual. Well, I don't get that either, because I've got my focus set to single autofocus on a back button with a manual override, so I can just start turning the ring and I'm focusing manually if I want to check focus. So I don't understand that. On this, which does have that focusing ring, and on the 8-25 wide angle that I used to have, and on the 12-40 Pro that I used to have, they had the manual clutch rings and I never used them. So don't understand that complaint. The third complaint that somebody came up with, that it doesn't have a programmable button on it. Well, so what? I mean, really? If you shoot Olympus cameras and you're going to use Zuiko lenses with them, you've got so many buttons that are completely configurable. You know, that's the least of your worries. So, so far, 24 hours, an hour out shooting with it, I am absolutely delighted. I've now got a lightweight lens that can live with me in my camera bag, will come up on all my trips out into the hills, so I'm not compromising on the quality when I'm doing a tough hike. And it complements the quality of my prime lenses for wider angles absolutely beautifully. So that was my reasoning. This is going to be sold because I hardly ever use the 2.8, and as you'll have seen from some of the images, if I use the new lens at f4 at longer focal lengths, I can drop the focus, I can narrow up the depth of field perfectly well. So that's it for this one. Next time out and about using the new lens. Thank you ever so much for joining me. A couple more images to follow. Hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, why not subscribe and join me next time. Cheers.